Good evening, guys. It's September, and welcome to Beauty and Gratitude. This is season three. Can you believe it? Season three. And this is our first episode of season three. I want to thank you all for following me on this journey for the past three seasons. There's going to be a lot of helpful information, hopefully inspiring. This is an intention of the show, Beauty and Gratitude, and that this particular show was spun and created and inspired by 100 Days of Gratitude, which is my book. And it's now 1 year anniversary of 100 Days of Gratitude. And it's spun into kind of a movement. I get texts and emails all the time with people saying, this helped me through a mourning process, or this helped me, do what I need to do, or it inspires me, it keeps me out of depression. And that's the intention of gratitude. Gratitude is truly, I tell people, it can alter your DNA, if you will. It can really help you in such an amazing way. I know for me, practicing gratitude for over 10 years, before that, I was a really ungrateful brat. I have to be really honest, really ungrateful. I would get a lot of opportunities, but it was never enough. And then one time I heard a speaker, his name was Aton, speak about being thankful and having gratitude before you go into meditation or prayer or whatever you do. And I remember looking at two friends in the room and all of our eyes teared up, thinking that, you know what, we don't come from a place of being thankful and gratitude. And once we started to practice that, I can honestly say to each and every one of you, all of our lives shifted. Jackie lives in Colombia, running a very successful fashion business. The other gentleman, Mordecai, has a very successful hair organic company called Yorok. And then I started writing more and creating outside of the field that I'm in, which is a makeup artist. So that said, I have some amazing guests today. I have Justyn Davis, who's a lighting designer and professor on the East Coast, and he works all over in film and television. I also have Elizabeth Meredith, who is stunning, number one, and number two, an amazing wardrobe stylist and fashion stylist. So I should say wardrobe designer, costume designer, and fashion stylist. So she works not only in editorial, but also in film and television. And she is a force to be reckoned with. They both are. And right now I'm going to jump in. Meet Justyn Davis, everyone. Hold on one sec. Let's let him in. Cool. Hi, Justyn.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm well, and really can't complain. It's just another great day outside.
And you're on the East Coast, right?
I am. I am. I'm in New York.
Yes. Justin and I just worked on a film for Netflix called The Perfect Find, and we reconnected. And often we see each other on different projects, and such amazing energy. I must say, I never see you rattled on set. You seem to be always in a Zen place. Is that a true assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, if we're going to do something for such a long time, you might as well just be okay. I mean, you can't be affected by the things that happen and are going to happen almost every day. I think, for me, it's at least, I know I'm going to be in for 14 hours. I'm not going to be upset about the same exact thing, for 12
Right, every
hours straight.
day. Exactly.
But I think it's also understanding that I enjoy what I do, and the process for me is the excitement. I think the confusion is what people kind of get distracted by, but it's ultimately that organic feeling that comes when you're in the middle of your process.
Yes. How did you become interested in film and television?
I went to school for it, but ultimately it started when I was when I was a kid. I did photography for a long time. I would go to like photography camps. But I went to college. I studied lighting. I studied lighting design for TV and film. I studied lighting design for theater. And then I just went full speed and just started trying to get on as many sets as possible. And kind of once you start doing it as in anything, you just practice and just continues to practice.
Yes. How can you explain to our viewers what lighting design is, especially in film and television, so they can understand, what a scene looks like and how lighting can also create a mood and a whole environment for a film or TV project?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it even before it gets to lighting. I think it's more about the conversation of narrative. Especially when you're creating a story. What does this lighting effect do for the narrative. And, I think that starts even before I even get on boarded. Um, the conversation with the DP and the directors is huge, because now they're starting to talk about colors, they're starting to talk about palettes, and then, again, brings costume design, that brings makeup in, that brings wardrobe in. And then, I'm usually, after everything's mainly decided. So it's like at that point, I'm just reacting to what the colors and palettes that I see. So, for example, when we're on set, it's, the wardrobe palette versus the, set design palette is important, right? Like, and then, now implement my elements, to pop that out and, create some kind of dynamic structure. And then from that point, it's, what is the movie? Is it like a fashion film? Is it, something a little bit more dramatic? And, then that changes the approach as well. But it's all different. Every movie has its feeling, and that's kind of the conversation when we're starting to talk about lighting at a cinematic level. It's what is the mood? What is the feeling? How does it move the narrative? How does it create more of the story? If it's fashion, how does it pop out the clothes? How does it make the hair look good? How does it make the skin pop? All those things that change when you change your story.
It's interesting. I have worked on a lot of projects, and I'm trying to say how to say this politically correct. Uh, that they light in one uniform way, no matter who's on set. And I find sometimes, especially episodic, they light for the lead, but not for anyone else, And I'm like, hmm. And often in the makeup room, I don't know if you know this, Justyn, we're saying like, what the hell? Why are they not lighting, this person's skin or this person's whole, ensemble? And can you explain that? Like why sometimes it's such a one-dimensional approach to lighting, say episodic, rather than lighting for each talent on set? Is it just too much work?
Well, I mean, I mean, we all work in TV, or my
Mhm.
assumption
Yeah,
is we all work in TV. It's speed. I mean, sometimes you just have to move. I mean, our page count is crazy.
yeah, it is.
And episodics, I mean, some shows shoot 30 pages a day, and that's a lot. Like, and you just got to keep moving. But I don't know what show you're talking about, but I mean, I know you just after a certain point, you just have to make your day. 12-hour day.
Yes, because I know that, like for film, sometimes it's 2 to 4 pages. For TV, it can be 8 to 10 pages a day. Soap operas, it's much more. It's 30 pages, sometimes 40 pages. So yeah, it does. It's different depending on the project. I want to go to the next question, which is how can someone get training in your profession? Do you think interning or just going balls to the wall and just jumping in?
Well, I mean, all the above. I mean, I don't think there's one avenue. To be honest, I mean, I took them all. I mean, I lived in New York for that reason. I didn't move to LA because I knew that I would be locked into, maybe one or two paths in. And I knew New York was just like, I'll be able to do anything. I mean, I'll be in the fashion world, I'll be in, the commercial world, I'll be in the film world, and, I could still work everywhere. But, don't stop, don't limit yourself. I think it's the access, right? I think it's being on set, being around what you want to do, listening to the conversations before you end those conversations, just being spongy, like, because you have to learn some way. I mean, if it's not school, it's like being on set. I mean, sometimes that's more invaluable than even being in a classroom.
Very true.
I
I
mean,
definitely want to talk to Elizabeth about this as well. This same question, like, you know, I think being on set can be just as educational, actually more educational than going to school for it. I learned through actually learning on set. I went to school for art, fashion, completely different, and I had to learn as I was going. But you got to be a quick learner. And Elizabeth and I talked about this on Clubhouse, how much you have to like be on your toes, especially when you're a junior assistant or a junior makeup artist or wardrobe stylist or light designer. You have to be a quick learner. So I stress that with people all the time. Another question, Justyn, is like, I know you love teaching. I know that's rewarding for you as well.
yeah.
So what pulled you into teaching?
Well, I mean, I think that's like you see, I'm smiling now, but that's like the life. I mean, I think that's the energy. I say it all the time when anytime an administrator asks me why do all my students smile, or why do I seem so happy? It's just because that is the energy that allows me to go back to work. Just seeing it through someone else's eyes. Uh, you know, people, we think we are who we are, right? And then you look
Right.
at someone else who thinks we're magnificent, right? Like our profession is this wonderful place that everyone wants to be, right?
Right.
And then with that perspective, like those dueling perspectives, right? It's like, well, this is a happy place because now I can joyfully give this to somebody because they feel as if they've earned it, or they're working towards something.
Right.
And that's why I enjoy it so much. And you can go back, and you're like, well, now I can practice what I said or try something new so I can teach something different. Like it's like, all these things, and it's kind of like a nice break.
Yes.
Like a
Hmm.
great break, right? It's like and you're still moving and you're creating something. And ultimately it's nice to have some way to kind of like move away from my crazy hours and create an alternate means.
Yes. Yes. What schools? Is it NYU and a few others?
NYU, I've been teaching at since 2017, the graduate program, the third year. I've been guest lecturing at the third year cinematography class. I substitute taught a couple of them. And Maine Media workshop in Maine. I actually just came back from there. So
Oh,
that
nice.
was last week, which is
Nice.
nice. It's like there's something about being outside and
Yes.
being in the wilderness that changes the entire perspective of just being somewhere, right? Like it's like being able to walk to a creek and just listen to the water and go swimming in the morning. It changes your entire disposition for the day.
That's interesting. I was born in the South, and creeks was some of my favorite things to hang out by and listen to the water. So that's interesting. Maine is beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. My friends live in outside of Portland, and it's magical, actually. It's a really magical area. One last question for you. What are you grateful for?
I mean, everything at this point, right? I mean, even having this conversation with you, I think it's something that's beneficial, right? It's unlocking a lot of this information that someone else has access to,
Hmm.
and it just makes me grateful that I'm able to create that experience or exposure. Of course, my career. I mean, I'm
Oh, yeah.
grateful for where I am. I know where I can be. We've had that conversation before.
Yes.
Um, but it's it's just the essence of just like you said in the beginning, it's just harnessing that energy because it creates this kind of like light feeling.
Mhm.
Ultimately, it's like you're not
Mhm.
weighed down. I think you kind of hit on it in the beginning about how you said that I feel unfazed at work, but it's like I just feel okay. I feel fine. I don't feel anxious. I don't feel nervous. There's nothing that's
Mhm.
distracting me. I'm just here, like, and just being present and existing, and just feeling the things that I feel and doing the things that I do. That's it.
You're in your purpose and your passion, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Justin, I'm going to pull Elizabeth Meredith in, who is an amazing costume designer, wardrobe stylist, and fashion stylist. Elizabeth, hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much. I met Elizabeth on a project about how many years ago? 8 years?
I think around 8, 9 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we kept in touch even before I relocated to Los Angeles. And we're with the same agency, and I do hope we'll do more work together. And I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're on set to say hello and to talk about your career. Describe how you were as a little girl. I'm just curious.
That's funny. I was very outgoing. I was very personable. I was kind of friends with everybody. I was someone that was very sensitive. I always cared about the underdog. I was that girl that I always wanted like being like just anybody that was picked on, it really, really bothered me.
I'm the same
Um,
way. Hmm.
yeah, and it really bothered me. And so I always believe a lot of children that are like that are very sensitive children. So they're very sensitive to other people around them. So I already had that from a child. I was very, very sensitive, which I think when you're younger, there's a lot of problems that come with that because,
Right.
You're a giver, right? And you want to give and you're a people pleaser. And it isn't until your adulthood that you realize people pleasing is good to a certain extent where
Yes.
you have to take care of yourself first. So that took many, many, many years to learn. However, yeah, and it was funny. I was in a family of I have two sisters, a mom and a dad, who were not sensitive. So I always say I was like, oh, I was really chose you guys to, really learn some lessons in this lifetime.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And you can pull from their strength and they can pull from yours,
Yeah.
I know that we've talked about this before. Your mom's gorgeous, your family's gorgeous. Were they part of your like fashion influence, or did you have other mentors and icons within the business that pulled you in?
That's a great question. Actually, no one's ever asked me that question. And
Hmm.
my mom was a total fashionista.
Mhm.
My mom and dad went to Compton High. And at the time, in the 50s, she did not have a lot of money. She came from a
Mhm.
Mexican family.
Mhm.
My grandmother would sew all her clothes, but she would get an allowance. And my mom said instead of her sister would go to the cheapest store and buy as many clothes as possible. But my mom wanted the one piece that she could work around and to make it look the coolest, even though they
Gee.
had no money. And it's a
Mhm.
genius thing. And so when my mom and dad got married and she was a stay-at-home mom, but when she wanted to go to work, she went to go work at Saks Fifth Avenue. So
Wow.
she was always into fashion, no matter when she stepped out of the house, her nails, makeup. I would always be like, God, mom, really? You were like pulling a J-Lo this whole time. Like, you just were killing it. Like, her pants, her jacket. And she always just embodied a lot of class. And
Mhm.
and she taught us as women that it wasn't like, oh, you need to buy expensive things or you need to look good for this, but really look good for yourself. So you
Yes.
feel good for
Yeah.
yourself. When you
Mhm.
show up to an interview, look like you put yourself together, be presentable. They're interviewing you and giving you a shot at life. So you want to respect them to say that you put effort into this as well. So she really taught me that by her fashion, using fashion, and really just taking care of yourself from the inside out, really embodied who I am. And it's funny because me and my sisters were all into fashion, we're all into makeup. You would think like one of us would have fell off the rock, but we didn't. So my poor dad, it was really my poor dad.
Wow. You know what's
Yeah.
amazing? That all of that makes you who you are today, right? And
Yes.
describe to our viewers like a day in the life of a costume designer, fashion stylist. We'll talk about costume design and then we'll talk about fashion when you do editorial for your celebrity clients. Like, I'll drop some names: The Rock, Will Smith. The list goes on, but let's talk about that.
Um, I'm such a great question because I'm having more and more assistants that work for me. I'm on a Disney pilot right now.
Mhm.
Next week I'm doing the cover of Esquire.
Mhm.
I'm up for a show for CBS in September. So I just like to tell viewers, please don't limit yourself, And I think a lot what Justyn said is like, you moved to New York to have so many opportunities. And it was like, you're just because you do your career, like in fashion, don't stop yourself. Yes, there's costume designers that do it, but you could also do fashion styling. So, for instance, in the costume design world, I get a script. And then from there, I hire a supervisor who does all my receipts and all my money. And
Mhm.
then from the supervisor, I hire at least two shoppers. And then I hire two set people just to work on set. And then I hire a PA. And then we start breaking down the characters. I send a presentation. I do lookbooks, a lot of lookbooks, and I have the director look them over. We go back and forth with the producers, and a lot of time the actors now are really putting effort, and they want to know who this character is, and do have a lot of say so. So I work with the actors, and then I shop and I shop and I shop and I fit and I shop and I shop and I get my team ready for that week, for the next week, for the following week. All the while we run this machine of doing returns, keeping on top of our budget. And so it's a very well-oiled machine, and you've got to have a lot of energy and constantly your eye to do characters. You just have to be a very observant, know about fashion, know about texture, know about colors, know about periods, and also know that, you know, you're dressing every different body type, ethnicities, you know, Black, white, Asian, you know, Native American. I dress from size 2 to size 26. Right. So if you're a good costume designer, there's nothing that they can throw at me that I just can't do at this point, you know?
That's amazing. That is amazing. How do you recharge from like after a job? That's a lot of research, of hands-on.
That's another great question I was having with a costume designer just last night. She was like, how can I keep doing this? Because it's so hard on the body. And let's face it, all three of us, what we do 12 hours on a good day, right? That's on a good day. We might do 14, 16. Yep. So what I like to do, I'm a Buddhist, and part of my Buddhist practice, I do a lot of chanting. Been a yogi for about 15 years. So I do a lot of yoga. I spend times with my family, with friends, and I try to go, well, before COVID, I would go on one vacation afterwards, because it's important to recharge as a creative artist. We're all artists here, and artists need to create, you know, take time out and just recharge your mind, because for the next job, I have to be just as creative, and I want to make sure that my mind is feeling at peace.
That's true. And it's the same thing I was saying Justyn was saying about Maine, you know, being in nature and connecting with nature. That's how he recharges. And I'm the same way. Like, I love hikes. I love being near the ocean. Even though I live in downtown LA, I will hop on, you know, in an Uber or Lyft to get to the ocean as quick as possible, because it centers me. The sound of water centers me. Even though, you know, I'm an earth sign and fire sign in 2 in 1, but water also is a very calming element for me. Another question is, tell us some of your favorite designers and brands that you just love. In a perfect world, those are the brands you would just want to work for or with.
It's a great question. Well, since I style a lot of men, but I style women too, it kind of goes back and forth. So for men, I really love Saint Laurent. Dolce & Gabbana makes one of the best tuxes around. I know people don't think this between Dolce and Tom Ford, the best suits for me are those two designers. Tom Ford really nails the cut on a suit, the fabric on a suit, and just nails it. For women, I love Christian Dior. And my in a perfect world, I would be dripped in head to toe Balmain. I love Balmain. I love edgy stuff. I love edgy leather and things you've never seen before. And I feel like Balmain really gives us that edgy appeal. But I don't want to get it twisted. I still shop at H&M and Zara, and I can make, I wear a lot of stuff from Zara, which is amazing as well.
Yeah, high, low, right? High, low. And that's how I have beautiful tailored custom jackets and tuxedos, but then I have, a pair of cheap jeans that I'll throw in there with a nice loafer or a nice shoe. It just all depends, how do you stay inspired?
That's, I'm always inspired. And one of the things of being a stylist and costume designer is be observant. So no matter where I go, when I travel to, New York and I'm in Brooklyn, I'll just get a coffee and sit there and look at all the fashion and look at what people are dressing. When I'm in LA, whether I'm in West Hollywood, downtown, I'm in Boyle Heights, I'm in East LA, that's where I do my research. So when someone throws me a script and they're like, well, it's not all Sex in the City fashion. It's like, Selma Hayek could be, living in Cuba and come from the poorest family. So as a costume designer, I need to embody that to every single piece of me and embody that to the audience. So keeping inspired is looking through magazines. I like to look at old magazines from the 1950s, the 60s. I have fashion books from New York in the 70s, all in London. And just being in the everyday world keeps me really inspired.
That's true. That's very true. Tell me 3 things that you're grateful for.
Oh God, I know. God, I feel like I give you 100. 3. I am extremely grateful. I will start with the family I have. They are extremely important. Not everybody gets to have an amazing family. I have a very supportive, loving family. The second thing I'm grateful for is my health. I think without health, a lot of times when we go to gratitude, I'm always grateful for my apartment, my car, my friends, my family. But without your health, you don't have anything, nothing. And I'm always just grateful. If something little comes up, I have doctors available to me. I live in Los Angeles. I live in a place where things are available to me for people in different countries are not. And thirdly, I am really grateful to every single mentor that handed me a baton, that gave me a chance, that I should thank more often, because without them and seeing something in me, I would never be where I'm at today.
And I think they know that, Elizabeth. I'm sure, because every time we've talked or had some kind of interview or Clubhouse, whatever, you've always mentioned your mentors. You've always celebrated them, which is really beautiful. How do you stay centered? And I know part of it is your Buddhist practice. Is that
Yeah. I became a Buddhist 6 years ago. And, in LA, you kind of try everything, it's like, Reiki, check, meditation, check. That's just being born and raised in LA. He's like, there's no stone that has been uncovered over here. But when I became a Buddhist, it was a little bit different for me. This was something that I was like, oh, you have to chant every morning and night. And it was been a real commitment. And what I have got from my Buddhist practice is a peace, a serenity, a confidence level, an inner happiness. We like to say we like to elevate our Buddhahood, but really we chant to become absolutely happy so we could help others to achieve happiness. But it has changed my whole being. So no matter how stressed I get out, or I get a job, I don't get a job, something doesn't go right, or whether it's a relationship or whatever it is, I always maintain a strength inside me that just know that whatever is happening is working out for my highest good. And that is just on point blank, period. It just really has changed my life. And that's what helps me stay centered really in my life right at this moment.
That's beautiful. And Justyn, I want to bring you into this. What helps you stay centered?
It's crazy. I feel like, I'm responding to a lot of things that's being said. It was just great listening to you as well. Family, it's all the things that, that ground, me, being outside in the garden, hiking, swimming. It's a lot of just connection for me. It's like, sometimes meeting a new person is grounding, right? Like seeing a new perspective. We travel a lot for work. Sometimes that's grounding, right? That transplant feeling, that cold, I'm in the middle of nowhere feeling. But it's that all of those things that kind of, create that peace. Because I love that explorer mindset. I love being curious. I love like discovering. So for me, that's comforting.
Thank you. Wow. Guys, I really want to, last question, final question, really, Justyn and Meredith. Elizabeth, I'm sorry. It's like, what does success, this is our final question, our round table. What does success look like to you?
I'll go first. No, yeah, or yeah.
Elizabeth. Elizabeth,
Um,
you go.
okay, success really looks to me, well, of course, I've always said this, that I never want to leave this industry without winning a few Emmys, and not just to have an award, but to really be acknowledgement, to be recognized for my gifts and my crafts and success. I think we've all, is the longevity of being in this industry, and to still say I'm a working costume designer and stylist when there's times I just wanted to give up and quit so many times, but I'm still here and I'm still doing it. And to for my legacy to be inspiring to some other young costume designer, to be like, she had all these upheavals, I can do it too. And that's
Right.
that's really your level of success, is if you can inspire somebody and to be recognized for my talents.
Yes, yes. Justyn.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of similar. I mean, just the impact. I mean, if we're just talking about our careers, it's just the impact. And inspiration. I think that she said a lot of things I would say. I mean, personal for me, success would be, that moment where I can be out in the wilderness, like somewhere in North Dakota, and be okay, and not have to
Right.
worry about financial stability. So yes, that's my personal success, but in a career world, it's the impact. The people you change, the people you bring, the people you allow opportunities to. How many people you advance within your time frame.
Yes.
Um, how many people have you helped, right? Because in our industry, it could be cutthroat.
Yeah.
Still cut through. And it's sometimes that extra second that changes someone's, entire career path, right? Um,
Yes.
and it could just be a suggestion, just telling someone to call them back when they're just, being anxious and nervous and unknowingly know that, we're all the same. We're all dealing with something similar. So it's like, I'm not unapproachable. So, give me a call. But like some people feel that a lot of people that are above them are unapproachable.
Right. That's true. It's interesting. Success for me is alignment, first and foremost, meaning that whatever I desire, I'm drawing to me and manifesting, whether it's working on more film projects. I'll give you a quick story. I was in New York and in March, that's when I came there to work on a specific project. Wasn't happy with it. I put fillers out to the universe. I was like, you know what? I want to get on something else. I'm not happy with this. So I got on Wu Tang. That was great. 3 months of that. And right before that was almost over, I said, like literally to the universe, I would love to have a film about 6 weeks that, you know, that I can be proud of, that I can put my touch on when it comes to my artistry. And in came the perfect find, and I was able to be a creative, work on various skin types, give my input, pretty much, work with Malika James and really make things happen. And that's when I understood, and I always understand, is that it's all about alignment. That's success to me, and also, as you said, Justyn and Elizabeth, is uplifting others. I know for a fact that I've launched multiple careers, and I'm very proud of that, very proud of that. I've handed over entire shows to people like, I'm not interested. This is yours. I'll make sure you get it. So that in itself is a legacy. Once I'm done with all this, that everyone could say, at least 20, 25 people can say, you know what? He started my career. So, yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for the premiere episode, season 3 of Beauty and Gratitude. I really, really appreciate you. Justyn, good luck on your next projects. Hopefully, you'll come visit us in LA, you know,
Yeah.
home. There's space for you. And Elizabeth, we have to grab dinner soon. We have to catch up. So,
We will.
thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
appreciate it.
D'angelo. Appreciate it. Bye.
See ya.
Bye, guys. I want to thank my guests, Justyn Davis, lighting designer, professor, just an amazing guy and just amazing talent. And I also love to thank Elizabeth Meredith for taking time from her day, because she was on set, guys, to talk about wardrobe and costume designing and being a fashion stylist. And both of these guys are very humble. They work with some of the top talent in the world, and continuously for decades now. And they're just people that I really vibe with on set and that I extremely appreciate. And it's all about your tribe, guys. It's really all about the people that you align with and attract and choose to connect with. I purposely, if I see energy that I like, I purposely try to stay in touch with that person to build. My true wealth are relationships. I believe that's the key. So to each and every one of you, thank you for tuning in to episode 1, season 3 of Beauty and Gratitude. I'll see you here next week. We have some really amazing guests this season, from doing living owner Juliette Silva Yee. I have fashion designers, archivists, curators, you name it, a lot of amazing people. So until then, thank you.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame, living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Solivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
You've all done autism awareness training, but what did you really become aware of? That autistic people have obsessive and repetitive behaviours, have trouble making eye contact, don't really make friends easily? It's time for that form of training to go, because what everybody needs, whether it's autistic children or adults in the workplace, is acceptance. So what I would like you to do is to think of everything that you've ever learned about autism and autistic people, crump it all up and throw it away, because this is something completely different. It's an entirely new model of training. It's about neurodiversity, it's about acceptance, and it's how autistic people like me and everyone else out there can grow to live happy and successful lives in school and in the workplace. My name's Jude Morrow, and this is Neurodiversity.
Solivity Magazine and Beyond Words Publishing want to remind you about the importance of continuing to follow public health guidelines to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Please continue to wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. Please visit these sites for further information about how to stay safe from COVID-19 into the new year. Remember, love protects us.